Welcome to the Bald Brad Show. Our lead story of the day is a doozy because we have a clip here from yesterday's White House press briefing where the room erupted. We got reporters turning on one another, screaming, shouting matches. Folks, wait till we get to it. But the White House press briefing room did lose it on Monday after a reporter from an Africa-focused outlet accused Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre of making a mockery of the First Amendment. Karine Jean-Pierre stepped to the briefing room podium, followed by the cast of the Apple TV series Ted Lasso, who was visiting the White House to meet with President Joe Biden about mental health awareness. Soon after taking the stage, Karine Jean-Pierre was pelted with accusations of discrimination from Today News Africa correspondent Simon Ateba. Here's the first clip, folks, and this isn't even doing justice for what we'll see right after. Let's go ahead and roll it.
Right, you're right. You're here for me. Refer me. No, that's not. We're not doing this. We're not doing this. We're not doing this. We're not doing this.
From across the room, you've been discriminating against me and discriminating against some people in the briefing room. And I'm saying that this is the U.S., this is not China, this is not Russia. This is not Russia.
Okay.
What you are doing, you are making a mockery of the First Amendment.
Decorum, please.
It's been 7 months. You've not called on me. You've ignored my messages. I'm saying that that's not right. That's not right.
On times, welcome, guys. Welcome. Welcome to the press briefing room. Okay.
Some people, but this is not right. Sir, let it go.
Are we ready? Are we?
Folks, that ain't it. That's not even the worst of it. So the Ted Lasso crew gets to do their thing. They're talking about mental health and all that stuff. They leave the stage, and here's what takes place after they walk away.
Make sure.
Karine, what I'm saying is you can't keep discriminating against some people in the briefing room because you don't like them, you don't like them.
So you have a choice.
No,
You have a choice. You have a choice.
A number of people
Okay.
in the briefing room, and I'm saying that that's not right. This is not China. This is not Russia. This is the United States. This is the White House. It's been 7 months. I sent you emails.
The rest of us are here too, pal.
It's been 7 months. You guys have not done anything for
If you
me.
have grievances, you should bring them to her later.
I have
Right
done
now,
that.
this is
I've
for the
done that.
entire
All my
press
emails
corps,
have been
and the
ignored.
press corps is tired of dealing with this.
It isn't
I've
just
done
about
that.
you,
I
Simon.
understand that you get questioned all the time and you don't understand what it is to sit here for 8 months and being discriminated
Take
against.
your
I understand that you're in the front row and you feel
questions
comfortable and you
to the
get
press
questions all the
secretary at
time.
another
But there are
time.
people in the back who don't get any questions.
Don't make assumptions about what the rest of us do. Mind your manners when you're in here. If you have a problem, you bring it up afterwards. But you are impinging on everybody in here who's only trying to do their job.
Okay, thank you. I'm saying that you shouldn't discriminate against some people because you don't agree with their question, you're offended by your
You made your
question.
point.
We all heard it.
All right, guys.
Look, point made. The man hasn't got a question in an extremely long time. I can't actually remember when the last time Simon did get a question. And I find it interesting that the people in the front were the ones that were kind of turning behind and going after Simon for raising awareness of the fact that she doesn't take questions from everybody in the room and that she's strategic about who she takes questions from. I mean, Fox News has been dodged for weeks at a time before. We talked about that with Peter Doocy, Jackie Heinrich of Fox News as well. Philip Wegman doesn't get questions. And by the way, Jackie Heinrich, Peter Doocy, and Philip Wegman are the top 3 questions that always gets thrown at Karine Jean-Pierre in the room. That's why we always highlight those 3. We'll highlight CNN and the Associated Press as well as NBC and ABC, especially Peter Alexander every once in a while because they do a great job. But look, it is true. He's bringing up a good point here. Is a lot of people in that room are not getting their questions taken, and it is very frustrating for them, let alone me sitting here having to watch all of it. So I was expecting all of them to band together and go against Karine Jean-Pierre, and they started turning on one another. So the saga continues here with this clown show of an administration, but let's see her response to it all.
As you all know, many of you know, this is the White House press briefing room, a historic room, a room that should have decorum, a room where folks should respect their colleagues and respect the guests that are here. And I understand that there's going to be give and take. That's the way the press briefing has gone for decades before me. And I will always, always respect that. But what I will not appreciate is disrespecting your colleagues and disrespecting guests who are here to talk, who were here to talk about an incredibly important issue, which is mental health.
Anybody else find it interesting that she's going to talk about disrespect? But be honest, it is really disrespectful, the fact that you got a lot of people in there trying to do their job. They get paid to write articles. They get paid to report the news, but They go all the way in there in the morning. These people are hardworking, folks. They're up at all hours getting work done so that we can read their articles and actually read about what the hell's going on, exposing this Biden administration, whatever the hell's going on around the world. She doesn't take their questions. That's pretty disrespectful for them not to be able to do their job. And they go in there every morning and sit there and listen to her not answer their questions. And she has the balls to sit there and be like, well, you know what? You're being disrespectful. Yes, it was disrespectful. But at some point, you had enough. You've just had enough. I understand that you're nice up until a certain point, and then you got to be a jerk. You got to be an a-hole every once in a while. Kudos to that man for being an a-hole, because she's being an a-hole by not taking his questions. So now you got two a-holes going at one another. Jesus.
And what has just occurred this last 10, 15 minutes is unacceptable. It is unacceptable. So we're either going to continue the briefing, or we can just end the briefing right here. Okay, well then let's go.
Now, it's just like, yo, it's content, you guys. It is a little embarrassing, the fact that this is taking place on like a national stage, a global stage, and other countries are like, what the hell is wrong with this? But this is what happens, folks, when you elect Democrats in office. This is what you get, as a clown show. It was very similar to the clown show that we saw under the Trump administration, where you had Jim Acosta, the mega clown show, going up against Donald Trump and being disrespectful left and right. And at some point, you're going to break. Well, the press briefing continued here. Peter Doocy actually gets a question in with John Kirby relating to China meeting with Russia and what Joe Biden's going to do about it all. So let's hear his response from the Gladiator, giving his question to John Kirby here.
Thanks, John. Russia and China. It seems like these two superpowers are teaming up now against the U.S. Why did President Biden let this happen?
Peter, these are two countries that have long chafed, as I said to Jeff, long chafed at U.S. leadership around the world, and the network of alliances and partnerships that we have. This is not something that these two countries just cooked up since President Biden got elected. But it is something that they have been
since he's been president. He has talked tough. He tried to pressure Putin and Xi to act right or risk their standing on the world stage. Does he see now that they don't care?
Damn, Peter. Oh, God, he's so good. I'm telling you, him, Philip Wegman, Jackie Heinrich, they're folks, they get paid the big, I hope they get paid the big bucks, or they should be getting paid the big bucks. But hey, truth be told, Joe Biden sat there and looked at Donald Trump square in the face and goes, Xi and Putin are going to eat your lunch. Oh, sure. Are they really? Are they really, Joe? Because look what's going on right now. This wasn't going on under the Trump administration. It's going on under the Biden administration. And Peter Doocy's right to call it out. But we'll see the cover up here. We'll see what John Kirby and how he spins this one.
I think if you ask a lot of Russians, they certainly care. I mean, their economy is.
By the way, I know some Russians, especially playing hockey. I know quite a few Russians. I actually know people living in Russia right now. Hell, my other channel, my Restore and Repair channel, literally was on Esquire in Russia. Let me tell you, they ain't hurting that bad, folks. They're actually doing pretty well, so don't listen to this guy. They're actually doing pretty damn well.
Barely being propped up by some pretty radical measures by Mr. Putin. Their military has been roundly embarrassed inside Ukraine, and they continue to lose ground there. And as for China, again, take a look at the way the president...
I like how he's like, well, they've been roundly embarrassed. You're literally giving Ukraine munitions. Like people are sending fighter jets to Ukraine. So it's not like that embarrassing when you literally have the technology from one of the biggest global superpowers in human existence, giving them machinery and equipment. So, I mean, it's not that embarrassing, the fact that they're able to combat the Russians with our own military equipment and our allies. So, look, I'm not trying to defend Russia here. I'm not a Russian fan by any means, but it's just funny here how he's trying to play this whole story of like, well, Joe Biden is not scared of them. Joe Biden's so tough. You know, the Russians should be embarrassed about what they're doing. Again, I think they should pull out of Ukraine. I'm not for it, but also at the same time, it's a little bit silly about what John Kirby's saying.
Has really revitalized and restored alliances and partnerships that were let go, if not ridiculed, in the previous administration. We have prioritize them. And there's no other nation around the world that has this.
You know, for a bunch of people that said Trump this, Trump that, I'm so tired of hearing Trump. I just want him to go away. why do they always bring him up? Have you noticed that, you guys? Whether it's in the White House press briefing room or it's in news outlets or whatever, he's constantly being talked about. I was told that you didn't want anything to do with the guy, that you wanted him to go away, that you didn't even want him the words to come out of your mouth. And now it's all Donald Trump this, Donald Trump that. He's the one that called the financial crisis, or it's his fault for removing the regulations. It's his fault for how Joe Biden pulled out of Afghanistan. It's his fault for how COVID-19 took place. It's his fault for Russia invading Ukraine. It's his fault for inflation going through the roof. It's his fault for the handling of illegal immigration. I mean, it's unbelievable, the blame game on how everything gets thrown at Trump, but nothing could possibly be Joe Biden's fault.
Alliance and partnership network that we do. 5 of our 7 treaty alliances are in the Indo-Pacific, and President Biden has prioritized each and every one of them.
Specific to these two leaders, though, do you think that Putin and Xi fear President Biden?
You'd have to ask them whether they fear or they not. It is not about fear. It's about President Biden advancing our foreign policy goals around the world. It's about President Biden revitalizing these alliances and partnerships. It's about President Biden and what he's doing to preserve our national security interests around the world. That's what we're focused on.
Of course it's not about fear. You got a guy that's literally fallen up a flight of stairs. He fell off his bicycle standing stationary. He gets lost. He doesn't know where his own office is. By the way, he was the vice president for a good while. He knew where the Oval Office was. Not no more. Literally, the Easter Bunny has to show up for him around. There's a reason why he's never on that podium, you guys, taking questions, because he'll get shellacked. He'll lose his train of thought. He literally has fallen asleep during a 60-minute interview. So, of course, they don't fear this guy. Are you kidding me? That's why Russia invaded Ukraine. That's the whole reason why Putin's doing this now rather than later, because he knows he can get away with it, because Joe Biden ain't going to do anything whatsoever. But remember, Xi and Putin gonna eat your lunch, Trump. Yeah, sure, that's working out well so far. Well, moving into our second story of the day, we got a clip here from The View. I'm sorry to subject you to this, folks, but it's content. It just shows you where the progressive left are, as well as the other nutsos around the world, rather than Joe Biden speaking. We got the other nutsos from The View here speaking. Hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already. So The View is covering here this judge who was given a speech at Stanford, and a bunch of students decided to protest him, and The View is giving their opinion on this, and it's so asinine, it's going to make your head spin. Here's the clip of the students protesting, which we've covered before, but I think it's good to see it again, and then we're going to listen to The View hosts give their commentary on this whole thing. Hope you're sitting down, hope you got your coffee, folks, because your head's about to spin.
So you've invited me to speak here, and I'm being heckled nonstop, and I'm just asking for an administrator to sign. That's an
It isn't a setup. But for many people in this law school who work here, who study here, and who live here, your advocacy, your opinions from the bench land as absolute disenfranchisement of their rights and does land. If you do choose to stay here, I do think we should give space to hear what Judge Duncan has to say. And I hope that also you will take question and answer and comment section to say what you need to say. I want to ask that half the folks walk out and protest, and the rest of us, let's tone down the heckling slightly so he can get to our questions.
So the university sent Judge Duncan an apology letter claiming staff and students acted inappropriately. Yeah. But I think back to the State of the Union, and this is what we're teaching people to do. We're teaching people how to be inappropriate.
Here we go. Blame Republicans again for shouting at Joe Biden because it's all Republicans' fault. Again, we just saw that from the last episode. It's Trump's fault for everything. We always got to turn it on Republicans, this or that. Even though literally you've had Maxine Waters stand with a megaphone and say, go after Trump supporters. You have Democrats taking to the streets for literally years, burning down our cities after George Floyd. But this is the stuff they're going to push and peddle here. It's Republicans' fault, you guys. It's always our fault because we're the evil people.
Yelling at the president of the United States, calling him a liar, doing all these things that now our students are saying, well, if it's okay for you to do it and you're supposed to be a lawmaker, I feel the same way because this is my right. So maybe all the snowflakes in the world need to get over the fact that people are going to disagree with them. You see, it's not just one side or the other. Everybody has to understand this is how we live. We don't all agree. We do disagree. Yeah. And it's your right to stand up and say, hey, I don't agree. And then either leave or let somebody else tell you what the issue is. But we don't show our kids that. We show them the nasty part now.
Or you could show your kids the good part and how to behave and how to act moral and not shout at people and, I don't know, not interrupt them. Now, what she said, there was some definitely good in there. I know you might be thinking like, well, Brad, you know, that sound pretty good. I don't know why you're showing this. Watch how this one spins real quick.
The ironic part for me on this is, and the reason I got on our radar screen today, is because talking about snowflakes, it's not just the name of Ted Cruz's little poodle that he abandoned when he went to Cancun. It's also what he is, because you see, Ted Cruz reached out to the Texas Bar Association, according to our Hot Topics, and asked the Texas Bar Association to investigate any of these students at Stanford that were part of the protest. Now, I have a suggestion for the Texas Bar Association.Maybe they should investigate the senator and lawyer who spread a big conspiracy theory, a big lie, and promoted, and that led to an insurrection on January 6th. That's my...
Oh, here we go, folks. The insurrection's back once again. The people that peddled the same footage that the January 6th committee did, that hadn't even seen all 40,000 hours of it, haven't seen the vast majority of it, even though we know from the timestamps of the clips that they did in fact see it, but they decided not to show any of you it. You know, talk about conspiracy theories about January 6th. You got a conspiracy theorist here that peddled the same thing that the January 6th committee said, and is still doing the same thing now, even though we've seen the evidence that it wasn't as bad as they mentioned. Look, there are idiots that did it. We 100% agree, but it wasn't an insurrection, lady. It wasn't even close. If you really think that's an insurrection, you're an idiot. I got no qualms about saying that on public airwaves right now on YouTube. You're an idiot if you really think that was an insurrection. If you really think the government was being taken over when people were standing in line, walking around, taking selfies, telling people to go back home, stop doing what you're doing. It's so asinine, but you know, we're all conspiracy theorists, folks. Everything that we said over the last 3 or 4 years never came to fruition once at all. It's still all fake. It's fake news.
My suggestion to the Texas Bar Association.
I think for me, what was so offensive is that one of the first classes you take in law school in constitutional law teaches you about the freedom of speech. And college and law school is a wonderful place to have this exchange of ideas. It gets heated sometimes. I speak around the country, and so do you a lot. And you teach a class. You speak around the country. We all do. And that's the part that I like. I like the Q&A. I mean, you know, come at me. Let's have those discussions, because that is what the free exchange of ideas is about. We have a clip of what this judge, when he was exercising his free speech, said to one of the students.
You don't respect the assignment. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. You're calling her an idiot.
So he called her an appalling idiot.
Not wrong. Not wrong at all. She is an appalling idiot. I mean, could the man have been more truthful and spot on?
I think that's beneath the dignity of a judge. I think when you have a younger law student come to you, and I've had some of them really kind of heckle me and attack me, and I'm like, all right, you done? Let me respond. That's the free exchange of ideas that we should have seen here.
You done? Let me respond. Sometimes they don't let you respond, lady, which is what the whole thing was about. The fact that he couldn't even give a speech in a Q&A. Even the people were like, hey, we probably should tone it down a bit. The guy can't even talk. So why don't half of us kind of leave the room and protest? And then the other half will just kind of bring it down a bit. We'll only interrupt him every now and then. Why waste your time answering their questions? And by the way, why show them any part of dignity and respect when they didn't show them to him back? If you want to show me respect, I will show you respect back. If you're not going to show me respect, I'm gonna give you right back what you gave me. But you know, why don't you come back at me? I'll come back with you something.
People heckled you. I've been at comedy shows that you've done in Miami, where you've been heckled, where there have been protests around your bus, and you know, it comes with the territory. People, we live in a country where there's free speech.
Well, and I think free speech is a two-way street.
You gotta love that. Well, it's fine, okay? It's fine that you heckle somebody. No, it's not, lady. Do you see the contradictions that's going on here between all their arguments? At one end, Whoopi Goldberg's like, we should allow free speech to thrive. We should allow people to speak, but do it like one at a time. Allow somebody to speak, and you come back with the arguments. But then you have another person like, free speech, we should just let it thrive. Just let people yell at one another is basically what she's saying.
street as well, where these students have the right to assemble and to peacefully assemble. If they want to counter demonstrate or they want to offer counter programming, that's the best way to do it. I feel strongly about what Sunny said. Like I teach at Georgetown, and my students constantly are objecting to a speaker who came to campus, and they'll set up their own demonstration, or they'll go and they'll get into strong Q&A. I've had students challenge me in a big way, and that they do it respectfully and thoughtfully, and it's the free exchange of ideas. Everyone learns from it. Like academia is the place to be challenged by ideas.
You don't
not
get
to
that
be
from
shut
the left.
down.
That is absolutely the battleground for ideas. What I see the difference is when you talk about it, Sunny, you come back with ideas. What I think is kind of minimizing the experience is when it's reduced to just name calling and heckling in the name of like, I'm protesting. Win on ideas. We've stopped.
You notice that she's not calling out the side that does the heckling. You know she's not calling out the side that's been known to sit there and show up to conservative speakers or conservative judges to sit there and heckle them to make sure they can't say anything, to protest them in person. You know she's not saying that group, the progressive left, the Democrat Party that primarily does it. I'm not saying Republicans don't do it, but if you look at proportion, all the time, we see this all the time of conservatives, Republicans being shut down at these universities. So she's just going to leave out on who's doing it because, you know, her crowd right there is not going to like it. The people that are showing up to watch her is not going to like it.
Having productive disagreements where you win on ideas. The rest of it's just noise, and you feed the other side narrative of they don't let me talk. So win with words. Like,
what's the other side?
And use your words.
This is a federal judge. He should be able to use his words.
Listen, if you don't want to
He's a federal judge. He should be able to use his words pretty well. How are you supposed to get a word in when somebody's yelling at you? Again, it's so crazy, these women. I'm sorry to even subject you to it, but I think it is important because, again, this shows you the side of the Democrat aisle. This shows you the side of the progressive left on just their thinking, and their thinking is asinine. Speaking of asinine thinking here, moving into our last segment of the day, if you haven't already hit that like and subscribe button, folks, what are you doing? Leave us a comment down below. Really, YouTube does heavily push our videos out there when you're interacting with it. So you hitting that like button, also leaving just a comment down below. Not the live chat. The live chat is there for us to interact with one another, our community. The comment section is really where it's at. That live feed does not transfer down in the comment section. It is helpful for you to write in there and we could chat amongst each other. But again, toss a bunch of comments down below. Go crazy because YouTube loves it. Well, CNN anchor makes potent admission about evidence of Chinese money flowing to Biden family. Doesn't look good is what was said. Now, it's a short clip here, but I want to play it nonetheless from CNN themselves saying, wow, this ain't looking too hot here. Let's go ahead and roll it.
On a certain level, just as a layperson, you hear this, and it doesn't sound good. There's a guy whose name is John Robinson Walker. He gets $3 million from a Chinese space company and proceeds to wire it out to a bunch of people named Biden, one of whom is Hunter Biden. Another one is a company that belongs to the president's brother, James Biden, and another amount of money to Beau Biden's widow, Hallie. So, again, from a layperson, that doesn't look good.
No, it doesn't look good at all. As well from a layperson. To anybody that has any sort of inkling of the corruption that's from the Biden family, the alleged corruption, no, it doesn't look good at all. It hasn't been looking good for quite some time with the emails and the leaked stuff that we have from the Hunter Biden laptop, which we were told for literally years that it wasn't real. Speaking of conspiracy theories of what we just saw from Anna Navarro of The View, hitting the right side of the aisle, going, oh, well, they're conspiracy theories, like what they did with the insurrection. You were the one that kind of peddled the same stuff, like, well, it's just all misinformation. It's Russian disinformation. All the while, turns out it's real. And literally, Hunter Biden is actually suing the guy right now for privacy issues surrounding the laptop, of which we told wasn't real. And nothing on it was real. It's never real. It's always fake. Everything's always being gaslighted. Well, what's the background of all this? So we got to go back quite a ways. The House Oversight Committee disclosed financial documents last week showing that 3 Biden family members, Hunter Biden, James Biden, and was it Haley Biden, and their companies received $1.3 million from accounts related to Biden family associate Rob Walker between 2015 and 2017. Now, are they going to open up an investigation about this? Of course not. See, there's a possibility that Trump's going to get arrested today, and maybe after this is shown, maybe he will already be behind bars. I don't know. But he gets an investigation over a phone call with Zelensky or $130,000 of hush money going to some porn star that was expensed as some legal expense. That is going to put him possibly behind bars. But everything that's come out about Joe Biden, nothing whatsoever. It is so there's literally imagery and videos of Hunter Biden allegedly, I gotta say allegedly for legal reasons, allegedly committing or breaking the law. We literally have emails of the big guy and what's been said about him. Is that going to open up any sort of investigation? I haven't heard of any. Haven't heard of any. Where is it all? We're 2 years down the road here. Trump had investigations going on him the second he stepped foot on that escalator when he was the nominee and then won the presidential nomination. So the majority of scrutiny, however, came on a payment sent just weeks after Joe Biden left office as vice president. The House Oversight Committee explained this in a statement. So here's a statement from the Oversight Committee. On March 1st, 2017, less than 2 months after Vice President Joe Biden left public office, State Energy HK Limited, a Chinese company, wired $3 million to Rob Walker's company. The next day, March 2nd, the company wired $1.65 million to a company associated with James Giller, another Biden family associate. So you got Chinese money freaking going everywhere. I'd also like to point out the fact that there was some of our oil reserves being sent to China, where supposedly and allegedly Hunter Biden had business dealings there in the Biden family. So go figure that one. Any investigations, you guys? You let me know? Nope, no investigations whatsoever. Nope, it's normal. Afterwards, the Biden family received approximately $1,065,000 in payments over a 3-month period in different bank accounts. Speaking of payments, supposedly Hunter Biden or someone in the Biden family is getting payments for rent left and right, supposedly funneling money. This is all alleged, by the way. We don't know if that's actually true. That was found when they were doing the Twitter files, in the sense of, not Twitter files, excuse me, the classified documents that were found at the Biden-Pence Center and Joe Biden's garage next to his Corvette. That was the safest area you've ever seen in your country. It was more safe according to Joe Biden than Fort Knox's. So that's all there, good and dandy. Nothing to look here, folks. We're not going to examine that at all. We're going to look and brush right past that one. So from the bank records, it appears that the Biden family received approximately 1/3 of the money obtained from the China wire. Oh, really? Well, we saw that clip from CNN just saying, well, it doesn't sound good. And you have legal expert Ryan Goodman, who's a former special counsel to the general counsel at the Defense Department, confirmed the allegations suggested unethical activity. He doubted, however, what crimes they could suggest. You got to love this. Oh, well, it's definitely unethical. Definitely some weird stuff going on, but we're not going to look into it. We're not even going to bother with that, even though we saw the same thing happen with Hillary Clinton, where she had a server in her house, not to even mention the whole Benghazi debacle. That's for another video. She has a server in her house that's linked up where anybody could basically hack this bad boy. She bleach bits it and goes, oh, I didn't know that was illegal. And nothing happened of it. Nothing happened. But again, Trump makes a phone call, you guys. All hell breaks loose. Literally, the media lost its ish when Donald Trump was drinking a glass of water. I don't know if you recall this one, and his hand was shaking like this just a little bit. And they're like, is he fit to hold office? This was a real thing. I'm sure y'all remember it. I don't think he's fit. Should we pull the 25th? Should we pull the 25th? His hand's shaking. He's probably not healthy. Where's the hysteria over Joe Biden? Not just a business dealing here. Joe Biden falling up a flight of stairs, fumbling through his words time and time again, fighting with this teleprompter, not taking questions, being told to sit down, to breathe, falling asleep on a 60-minute interview, hitting a golf ball backwards, not able to find his office. He roams around the White House lost at times. That's coming from people there, actual sources on the ground. Literally, they're scared that he's going to trip over a cable in the White House and fall over and keel over. That comes from the aides of the White House, literally have to chauffeur him around. They're scared that he's going to stumble and fall over a blade of grass getting to Marine One. This is wild, but they're not going to open up any sort of investigations, no cognitive tests, nothing is being done to this guy. And then they can't wonder. They're baffled as to why people are going to go and lose their shit. I apologize for cussing. I know there's some people's children that listen to this in the car. I apologize. And you know who I'm speaking about. They're going to lose their ish when people start protesting because Trump's arrested over $130,000 when you got siphoning millions of dollars going to the Biden family. Quote, when I looked at all the facts that are alleged in a 4-page memo, it looks potentially unethical, he said. But it's difficult to match up with any illegality or crime, and for all the reasons that you say or more. Quote, the fact is that there's a pass. The money is not even going directly to these members of the Biden family, but through this third person, he continued. The timing of it, 2 months after he steps down as vice president, this is happening with his family. You see, it's all about his family. Look what they did to Ivanka, Melania Trump, where the FBI raided Mar-a-Lago and went through her drawer, went through her underwear and all that stuff. It was his family. Same thing here. It's their family. Why are they not rifling through all their stuff? Why are they not doing that? Interesting. One of the payments in 2015 that's starting to look a lot like potentially influencing peddling, but not illegal. Making sure to sit there on national airwaves. None of it's illegal. Got to make sure. How do you know? How do you know if you haven't investigated it? And you're not going to, because the government rubs the shoulders of the Democrat Party. They're always investigating Republicans, never investigating anything. From the Obama time to even now with Joe Biden's time, it's all circled around Trump and insurrection, which was all hubbub and fake news. So there you have it. That's what's going on with the Biden family. Another ish coming out about potentially unethical things taking place, funneling money from the Chinese, and we're not supposed to bat an eye about it or even talk about it. So let me know what you think about all this in the comment section below. Thank you for supporting us. We're trying to grow the Bald Brad Show. So if you have friends or family that are interested in watching, please send this link to them. Tell them to join us in the live chat. We would love it. We had some few new viewers the other day joining us here in the live chat. Leave us a comment down below. Head over to baldbrad.com. Get some merch, folks. Some of you have already getting your books there. The hardcover is out, the paperback. Some of you already read the ebook. Leave us a 5-star review on Amazon. If you haven't already picked up your copy, what are you doing? It's called Trojan Horse, How the Left is Destroying America. You're seeing it in real time, folks. It is a timely book. If you don't want to read it, buy it for a friend or family member that's a conservative Republican that does love to read, and say, hey, you know this guy from YouTube, you love him, and you're watching him. I figured this would be a good gift. And heck, if you want to give a bombshell gift, folks, buy one for a Democrat. Boy, oh boy. Hey, look, we get the money, folks. If they burn it, they burn it. But it's already in the pocketbooks of the conservatives and Republicans like myself. So support a conservative Republican by hitting that like and subscribe button. Leave us a comment down below. And folks, I'll see you tomorrow here on The Bald Brad Show.